guys, welcome back to another video. So this past week we had the announcement and reveal of the PlayStation 5 Pro. I gave my thoughts on that when it happened, and I think there is a consensus here among the gaming community that the price is pretty absurd, especially if you're living in places like Canada, where I live, where you're paying $960 for this thing, over $1,000 after tax for the PlayStation 5 Pro, but they launching it at $700 US, which in my opinion, at this point, you're on that line. You're on that line as to whether it's even worth it to stay in the console space, or should you just wait, build some money up, save some money up, and just build a PC. For a couple more $100, you can build a far superior PC, or a PC at least on par with the PlayStation 5 Pro that gives you access to a much larger catalog of games, as PlayStation games are on PC, Xbox games are on PC, you have Steam, you have all the different launchers. It's just overall, I think, a better decision as these prices of the consoles continue to increase. And this all comes after the PlayStation 5 Pro announcement, which begs to ask the question, the next generation of consoles for the big, powerful at-home console, is the floor now going to be $700 US? And I think that is going to be the case. I don't think we're going to see a console releasing for under that price unless it's something like the Nintendo Switch 2, which is a handheld hybrid, or just the handhelds that are breaking their way into the market, which is still a good affordable option if you have something else to subsidize that, if you want the more powerful gaming experience, better frame rates and graphics fidelity, all of that stuff. So that's where we are. PlayStation 5 Pro, I don't think is going to sell that well just because of the price. I'm sure it'll sell out at the beginning with the enthusiasts, but then after that, who knows how many units they're going to be able to push. I could be wrong, but it just, with $700, does not seem like that is the way. But this is telling overall of the industry and where we are, where it is going, how it is absolutely changing, and Sony is going to be changing as well. And you can see that by the way that they are pricing the PlayStation 5 Pro. But going forward, cloud gaming, even if it's not your cup of tea, it wasn't mine for a very long time. I've grown to enjoy it a lot more recently, as I think it has improved in terms of the way that it works, at least where I live. It is going to be a huge dominating factor within the gaming industry. And there is some Bloomberg analysts here that have put out some reports showing how big it's going to be and how big of the domination is going to be by Xbox because of the way that they have set themselves up for the future. So this is a report here from the Bloomberg Intelligence, which was shared with Windows Central, who breaks everything down as to what they are talking about here and the improvements of Xbox Cloud Gaming and how Xbox is expanding out their ecosystem. One of the main things that they are doing right now is building a server farm in Hyderabad, India, which is going to be something that they continue to do to try to expand gaming out into more regions in the world. It says, Bloomberg Intelligence is a firm that provides analysis on a variety of industry topics to help investors make better decisions. And they say, cloud streamed gaming services took in $3.5 billion of revenue last year, a sliver of the $184 billion generated by the video game makers globally. Yet we think the share will increase rapidly as streaming lets game makers reach a bigger addressable market that includes mobile devices, not just consoles and PCs. And this will be crucial for emerging markets where people rely more on mobile devices and less on expensive fixed hardware. And that is a major thing. In those markets that the expensive fixed hardware does not thrive, Xbox does not do very well. Nobody is really buying Xbox consoles that aren't playing those games unless it will be through something like cloud gaming. If you're in a market like India that is predominantly the mobile side of gaming, where you're using mobile devices, easier access points, cheaper to get into, it is a very smart strategy to try to implement cloud gaming into those areas, to get people into that ecosystem, to grow out your user base, because you're just basically taking your ecosystem and putting it on the devices that they already have. And I think that's one of the major reasons why they're doing cloud gaming, why they're expanding out and putting games on PlayStation, particularly in Asian regions where Xboxes just don't sell, no matter how many first-party bangers they want to put on there. Even though people say that will push the console, it will not in those regions. We've already seen the evidence of that. Putting your games where people are playing is how you're going to expand out your ecosystem and grow. And that's what I think Xbox is doing and thinking when they're putting their games onto the PlayStation platform. Now, it continues on here and it shows this chart about the cloud gaming sales growing 28% per year. And you can kind of see here how much of the market subscriptions are going to be taking up in terms of how many people are going to be subscribing, Game Pass, cloud gaming, depending on where they are in the world, all the different other subscriptions out there. I mean, subscription gaming is something that has entered the market. You have all of the different ones from NVIDIA GeForce Now to the Ubisoft Plus to the EA Play to Game Pass to PlayStation Plus to Nintendo Switch Online. It is here to stay, whether you're a fan of it or not. And something like cloud gaming is something that's going to have huge growth as they're able to expand it out compared to the growth that you will see year over year in the console market, which will be far less, which is why putting your games in more places, getting more people to access it is imperative, not only for Xbox, but also for PlayStation, which they will also be expanding out further in cloud and in subscription. Now, some of the cool things here that I think is going to be added to cloud gaming as this technology does increase. They say here that AI technologies supporting cloud gaming aspirations too, owing to the ability to potentially artificially generate frames on the local device to offset latency issues. I used to have latency issues in my cloud gaming. I don't know if some server farms have been built up closer or something like that, but it really has gone away, and my experience even just on the mobile network with Xbox Cloud Gaming has been very good, and I could definitely see that continuously improving. And if they're adding in these AI technologies or adding in things that we are starting to see even just on the local hardware, even from the PlayStation 5 Pro announcement with PSSR, I think those things are going to be very, very crucial for the future of gaming. One of the things when you look at consoles specifically, and even honestly on PC, is we are at a point of diminishing returns, and how much better do graphics really look and feel comparatively. Like if you go from GPU to GPU, if you're just going one step up or something, it's not really that big of a difference. You get more frames, things are slightly more crisp, but it's not like what we used to have back in the day when we had the OG Xbox to the Xbox 360, where that was a massive jump in graphical fidelity, something that you could notice with the naked eye no matter what. Now, when you're looking at the PlayStation 5 and the PS5 Pro, the jumps, you're not going to notice half of the things that they showed off in that presentation, especially if you are playing on a big screen TV. You may notice frame differences if you're going from 30 to 60, but even if the frames are just a 10 FPS difference or something like that, you're probably not going to notice it with the naked eye, again, especially if you are playing on a big screen TV, which is another reason why that $700 price tag in the PS5 Pro, in my opinion, just really is not worth it. If you're going to be spending a high price tag for gaming, you might as well just save a bit and build a high-powered PC and get just the top end that you can get out of every single game and have lots of longevity that way. So when it comes to the software side of things, that's where I think that we will see massive upticks in being able to give better gaming experiences compared to the hardware side, where, again, $700 on the PS5 Pro versus your base PS5, probably not going to notice a massive difference when you're sitting back and playing those games. Now, when it comes to where the future is, who's going to be the leader? I mean, I've been saying this and I've been predicting this for a while now. Xbox is setting themselves up. Every time they make a move, they put games on PlayStation, they expand out their subscription, all of that stuff. People doom and gloom it like it is the end of Xbox, which is absolutely absurd. They are making moves here to be the dominant leader in the gaming industry in the future. And I can see it here as well with Bloomberg expecting the same thing. It says Bloomberg expects that Microsoft with Xbox and Sony with PlayStation will dominate the cloud gaming market to the tune of 40% for Xbox and 15% for PlayStation, which is a big gap. PlayStation sees this, and they know blocking Activision in Call of Duty was a major loss to them for the future of gaming, and they're going to continue to make pivots to try to offset that, get more games onto their platform, try to do things here to be able to compete with the loss of revenue they are getting every single year now from Call of Duty, which was one of their biggest sellers on the platform. And cloud gaming and subscription is one way that they will try, but they're just not ever going to be able to compete with the likes of Xbox and xCloud and all that stuff. So that is going to be huge. That is the future. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of the cloud. I was not a fan at all. Now I'm becoming more of a fan because of how well it's been working. I do like my hardware. I will always have some sort of native hardware to play games on, but the future is the future as to where the industry is going. And you have to kind of realize that as you're looking at way things are changing. Cloud gaming is going to be the future. It opens up access to more people. It allows these companies to expand out their market and just capture more people into their ecosystem. And that's why they are going this way. And Xbox will be able to capture more people than PlayStation by being a leader in cloud gaming. Now, they also go on here and talk about other ways that there's pain points and everything being able to expand out that makes it hard. And one of those major things is Apple. And we've seen Apple continuously push back against Xbox cloud gaming. And even though they've opened up their store for other applications and other stores to be actually be able to put on to Apple Store, it's still really not a viable business option as you have Xbox still battling it out here with Apple to try to get cloud gaming on there. It says here, for example, Bloomberg cites the fact Apple has opened up its App Store to cloud gaming as of January 2024, but the reality is far from the case. Xbox was in court just last week complaining to regulators about Apple, and Apple's opening up of its store amounts to what is essentially a lie, with its fees and rules about in-app purchasing making the business unviable. So if you still want to access cloud gaming on Apple right now, it's through the browser. Will that change? Will there be any more things implemented here that allows Xbox to put cloud gaming on to the Apple App Store and have reasonable rules about the fees and in the in-app purchases? Because it is such a huge market. That is one thing that is true. Although you can still access cloud gaming on Apple devices, you're going to be able to get a lot more people interested in it if it's just an app. Like, that's why people use their iPhones, the App Store, all the different apps on there. They don't want to go through the browser, and it's a closed ecosystem comparatively to something like Android. So you have people that just want to tinker less. At least that's the way I see it. I don't like iPhones. I don't use Apple iPhones or anything like that. I've been Android forever. But one of the main reasons is because Apple's a closed ecosystem. It annoys me. I like having my Android and just feeling more free on what I can actually do on that platform. Now, it says here, Bloomberg also projected that Microsoft will introduce ad-based tiers in 2025 for Xbox cloud gaming. This is something that's been in the talks forever, and we've seen really no evidence that it is coming anytime soon. And Windows Central actually says here that right now our sources suggest that Microsoft isn't planning on introducing ad-based tiers for Xbox cloud gaming anytime soon. But I think at the end of the day, it's a smart move if they were to do this. If they can add a cloud-based tier for less money, because as of right now, I think one of the things that is not a good choice that Xbox is doing is selling Xbox cloud gaming for $20 a month, not having a lower base tier, because that's as much as you're paying for Game Pass Ultimate, which you will utilize on actual hardware. But if you don't have hardware that you want to play these games on, you only have maybe the Amazon Fire Stick or whatever, you have a Samsung TV, you're paying the same price, and people will see that and think it's kind of ridiculous. Maybe $10 a month for cloud gaming. That would be a lot more reasonable. And if there's an ad-based tier, maybe even like $7, something like that, they're able to make money off of the ads. Just open up the way that people can access it, and the potential of people subscribing will skyrocket. And one of the things when you think about cloud gaming via the Samsung TV or cloud gaming via Amazon Fire Stick, it isn't the hardcore gamers that are looking to get into that. So you have to price it accordingly to people who are trying to play Game Pass that way. Now, looking at this from the analyst point of view, you have the author, Bloomberg analyst Nathan Nadeau, emphasizing Xbox's grip over the sector, but is also warning Sony does remain a huge potential competitor, obviously, despite Microsoft's technological advantages. So this is not something that Xbox is going to run away with, but they do have a big lead on it. It says Xbox has a solid grip on the cloud stream gaming market thanks to its lead over major rivals in games, library, and cloud technology, with a greater emphasis on cloud technology in the earlier half of Bloomberg's intelligence forecast period, as that sets it apart from Sony and other key competitors in the CSG market. And Xbox's strength in cloud technology underpins better than peer user experience and subsequently successes in its user acquisition. And Sony's PlayStation Now still has the largest game catalog, which includes first-party games that are the same caliber to those offered by Xbox. And we think that this is Sony's strongest defense against its arch rival. We expect Sony's cloud gaming strategies going forward to be more reactive in nature as it anticipates other actions that Microsoft's Xbox unit may take, particularly around platform exclusivity of key game franchises. And I think one way PlayStation will try to combat Xbox cloud gaming in the future is putting their first party games into the service, day and dates, or at least very soon after the release, not years after the release like we are seeing now, where they're putting their games on PC years after they release on the PlayStation console. I think that is something that they are going to eventually pivot to doing and making it accessible and making those games accessible just in more places for more people who don't want to go out and spend $700 on the latest PlayStation console. So this is the future of gaming. When you're looking at things like the PS5 Pro announcement and scratching your head, maybe the reason why these consoles are $700, well, one, the economic conditions, we have inflation, all those things that have occurred. But the other thing is maybe we're entering into an era where the console market is really going to be set for the premium users only, for the people that want to spend upwards to $1,000 to pick up a gaming console. And the PS5 Pro is setting up now for the future. Previously, consoles were for people who wanted a reasonable price to get into the gaming market. You want to be able to play all of the games. It was a cheaper platform, gave you a good experience, optimized for that platform. But now when we're looking at something like $700, maybe this is the beginning of the end of that for the consumers, and there's just going to be way cheaper ways to access games. These companies see this, so they're thinking we're going to make premium consoles now for those enthusiasts that do want to pick up and purchase them. And honestly, that if you can afford it, if you're somebody who's lucky enough to be able to afford that, that is probably something you would be excited about. Like if the next Xbox is $700 and it's just this beast of a machine that will have longevity, more longevity than we currently see throughout console life cycles, maybe that's okay. Maybe they make it where it's a base price of $700-800, and then you can upgrade the parts within the console itself in a few years for maybe another $100 or $200, something along those lines. Who knows? But at the end of the day, it's definitely changing, and those base prices for consoles probably starting next generation are going to be at $700. But I will end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up if you're new, or hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Thank you.